So this is one of those told you so moments, because I talk about all the time on this channel about not taking down statues or monuments that you disagree with, because if you take everything down, whether it's a Confederate flag, Confederate statue, statues of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, you're not going to have anything left, nothing to write about. And this is a really cool story. This is at Cleveland.com. The Cleveland Orchestra, which is one of three great orchestras for the Midwest. We have the Chicago, the Minneapolis, Cleveland. Now, the Minneapolis Orchestra under Anto Dorati released the complete recordings of the Tchaikovsky ballets. That was back in 58, 59, I believe it was, on the Mercury label. But the Cleveland Orchestra has just obtained, and this was their season opener this year. Well, actually, the story goes back to 2016. But they have obtained the lone autographed copy of Mahler's Second Symphony. Now, if you're not familiar with Gustav Mahler, not familiar with classical music, Mahler was one of the great late Romantic composers from the latter part of the 19th century, early 20th century. So when an orchestra obtains a score from a major composer from that time period, it's a big deal. But this is the really cool part. This is the complete edition, because a lot of these composers who wrote these larger works, like Bruckner, had their works edited for time, not just with recordings, but also with performances in the concert hall. So it's a really, really big deal when you have a major work by a major composer obtained by one of our great orchestras. But this is a really neat story. So it goes back to 2016. Now in 2016, and the score had passed through several hands, not just the composers, but his wife Alma, the conductor Wilhelm Megelberg, the Concertgebouw Orchestra, and finally the Cleveland Orchestra trustee, German media mogul Herbert Kloiber. I believe that's how you pronounce the last name. It's Kloiber. And he anonymously bought this at auction in 2016 for £4.5 million. That equates to about 5 million or so American. And as Mahler scholar and Case Western Reserve University professor of music Stephen Heifling noted, if Mahler hadn't composed this work, he probably would have never been known as a major composer from that time period. And the orchestra president, chief executive Andre Gremlett, chimed in. And he said this is a great Cleveland story. The manuscript could have gone any of a number of places, but it says a lot about Cleveland that it came here. Now, the Cleveland Orchestra has also been home to several famous conductors, most notably George Szell, who was with the orchestra from 1946 to 1970. But there was also Pierre Boulez, Nikolai Sokolov, Lauren Mazel, Eric Leinsdorf, just to name a few. So I just wanted to share the story with you. Real quick video today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. You can also follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, or find me at Twitter, Cultural Confederacy at Twitter. Another example of preserving great art, great music, history, cultural preservation. That's important. That represents us not just as American culture or German culture, because Mahler was a German composer, but it represents us as a whole, as people. Something that we can look back on in future generations and say, that person wrote this piece of music at that time, and look at what we can achieve if we put our mind to it. So this idea of creating great art, great music, it's possible. It can be done. And it's really cool when you can get your hands on a manuscript that's autographed by the composer themselves with nothing edited out. So thank you for being with me. Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this great country, this thing we call the United States, and I'll catch you next time.